Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ria and I took the A levels. I'm here to help you guys out with your May June physics, chemistry, and math exams. So, in today's video, I'll be talking about the practical exams for physics and chemistry and everything you need to know to score well in these exams. But just one thing before that, I have a A levels community on WhatsApp. So if you want to become a part of it, please write to me at riasharkar09@gmail.com and I'll send you the link to join the community. Now let's dive into the practical exam. So the first thing, you should definitely get familiar with significant figures. Now what are significant figures? So a lot of times in the exam papers they mention stuff like 3 significant figures, 2 significant figures, or SF. Which is just significant figure. So the thing about this is you can lose a lot of marks if you don't keep the significant figure thing in your mind while writing a practical exam. For example, in the physics practical exam, when you note down your observations, you're supposed to note down I think 6 sets of the data, and all of them have to have same significant figures. Suppose you're measuring the time period. If you write for your first observation, you write 1.03. For the second one, if you're getting 1.10, you need to write 1.10, not 1.1. Right there, you could lose 1 mark. Yeah, just a very stupid way to lose marks. So always keep significant figures in mind. In the description, I'll link down a video which explains what significant figures are. So if you're not aware, please go through that video and you should be good. When we're measuring a set of values, right? Make sure that you're maximizing your range. What that means is usually in the MS, they also have like a specific range of values, and your range should basically be bigger than that. If your range is smaller than that, the range that they've given, you will lose marks. Just try to vary as much as you can. So if you're talking about length, try to do it with 10 centimeters and then say 80 centimeters. So you have a big range. Don't just do 10, 12, 13, not like that. So make sure you have a big range. That's one important point.Moving on, you should know how to draw the line of best fit. Now this one is an extremely common question. So to draw a line of best fit, once you have your points from your observation table plotted, all you want to do is draw a line which has equal number of points above and below. Because your points are not going to be exactly consistent along a gradient, they will be scattered a little above and below. You just want to make sure that equal number of points are above and equal are below. There is no correct gradient for your practical exams, but in the MS there's like a range again for the gradient, which is based on your calculation. So it's fine. You and your friend might not have the exact same gradient, but it should more or less be the same, right? If your line is passing through 1 or 2 points, that's great. If it's not, don't worry about it. It's all right. Next, let's talk about calculating the gradient of this best fit line, right? To calculate the gradient, you're going to take 2 points on your best fit line. If your line already passes through like a plotted observation point, then that's great, you can take that point. If not, take a point on the line, not one of your plotted points, okay? Make sure you remember that. On the line, you have to take 2 points. I would suggest take these 2 points to be very, very far. Suppose in this case, this is our graph. This is a line of best fit, and these are the 2 points that you take, right? This triangle should be seen on your paper, what 2 points you're taking and what the gradient is. One more important thing is when you're plotting, make sure your topmost and your bottommost should cover more than half of the page given. So that's another important point. Your least and your most value should cover more than 50% of the page. So those are some points to keep in mind when we're making the graphs and calculating the gradient. Now let's talk about improvements. With improvements, it's basically you describe a few flaws in your experiment and then you have to write an improvement for that. There's a lot of common flaws and improvements, and you might want to go through a list of those and memorize a few that are frequently relevant. I'm going to attach a link to the document which has like common flaws and improvements, so please make sure you read that. So that's the important part. Now let's talk about the chemistry practical. With the chemistry practical, first things first, again, let's go to the same order, right? Again, you have to be mindful about the significant figures. A lot of times they'll also ask you to write your answer to a certain amount of significant figures, in which case you make sure you're following that, because if you don't, you will definitely lose a mark there. As far as titrations are concerned, you write your answer to 2 decimal places. Meaning, if my titer is 26.5 centimeter cube, I'm going to write 26.50 cm cube. Don't make the error of writing it to 1 decimal place, because you will lose a mark there. So that's one more tip. Secondly, with titrations, get a rough titer first. Once you have a rough titer, you can then do the titration drop by drop to find your exact titer. They ask you to give like a final titer. So to get that, what you have to do is get one final titer and then repeat the whole experiment, and if they have a difference of only 0.10 centimeter cube, you take those two and then average them out, right? A lot of times this does not happen. 0.1 centimeter cube is like really small, right? And human error, you get the point. So once you have one final titer, if you don't have the time to run the experiment one more time, you just write one more value, which will be 0.10 centimeter cube more than your final titer, and then you average those out to get a actual final titer, if that makes sense. Yeah. Moving on to your observation table with chemistry. Make sure you're making observation tables no matter what, because a lot of marks are there for this table, which is, even if you just go make the tables, you will pass the exam, right? All the tables should be properly labeled with the unit in the header, okay? So if we're talking, if you're measuring, say, the volume, in the header you write volume in bracket centimeter cube or dm cube or whatever your unit is. So the chemistry practical itself is based a lot on your generic chemistry and how good you are at chemistry itself. There are not many specific tips that I can give just for the chemistry practical. However, if you have any questions, make sure you put them down in the comments, and I will get back to you as soon as possible, because I know your exams in 20 days. Yeah, those were my tips for you to be able to nail your practical exams. All the best for your exams, and hit me up if you want to be a part of the community. It's quite active, and we discuss A-level doubts, questions, topics, stuff like that. So yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.